Good morning, y'all, and welcome back. So you guys know Mr. Thomas.
Hey guys.
This is Mr. Thomas's truck, and his truck looks just like my truck. And we have a lot of the same things done to our truck. Mr. Thomas told me he's having a problem. But instead of explaining it to you, I'm just going to show you the parts he has left over. This is Mr. Thomas's onboard air tank. As you notice, it's no longer on board. That's because it fell off while he was driving home from Alabama one time. Please tell me more about this story.
Well, we heard something going on in the back. We didn't know quite what it was. We was in the middle of Jackson, Mississippi, so there's not a lot of good places to pull over. When I did get to a place I could pull over, I got out and I looked around the trailer. Everything looked good. I said, well, I better look underneath the truck. And when I did, that was a dragon.
That was a dragon. It looks like it might have been dragging for a long time. Exactly how long do you think it was dragging before he said, let me check it out?
I don't know. It was a little while.
So, that right there is part of his onboard air system, and it's supposed to be under the bed of the truck. More specifically, it's underneath the spare tire. I can't put that in there without taking the spare tire down, but somehow it came out of there. So, Mr. Thomas has some things that need to be fixed. All right, guys, let's go under here and find out what exactly is going on. Oh, your spare tire is loose. That's what I suspected, because there's no way that tank is coming out from up here unless the tire was loose. So that explains why it got beat up and why it came down. Here is the pressure switch for the air compressor. Here's the leader hose, which is also damaged. There's a manifold. There's the manifold, which is supposed to go right here. That's over here. So it looks like we need to replace some things. And just for reference, we have my truck, which is exactly the same. So we're going to show you what it's supposed to look like. That way y'all can see what we got to do to make all that good again. Let's go into my truck and show you what it's supposed to look like. As you can see, the air tank is up here above the spare tire. That's where the manifold mounts. And then over here we have our pressure switch relay and our leader hose, and then an assortment of lines that go everywhere. So it looks like we're gonna have to do a lot of fixing.
Working before we left.
What's that?
I said it was working before we left because I had to air up my tires.
So when did it start working? When it fell off?
When did it stop working?
Yeah.
When it fell, well, I don't know. I was able to put, and when I left Alabama, I was able to put in my airbags.
Okay.
So it was good when I left Alabama, but by the time I got to Mississippi, it wasn't working.
Well, when the air tank falls off, that'll happen. We're just gonna test to see if the compressor comes on. Oh, look at that, Mr. Thomas. The compressor still works. So we know the wiring to the compressor did not get damaged. So that's one thing we don't have to fix. Well, we know we don't have to fix it now. We may fix everything and find out the compressor also has a problem. But right now it looks like the compressor is still working.
Yeah, that was another clue. The compressor kept running while we was driving, and so we knew maybe something else was wrong too.
Yeah, that compressor, if it ain't got no tank to fill up, it's just gonna run forever. Or at least till it gets hot and trips off because it tripped a fuse. Well, Mr. Thomas, I've done an assessment of the damage. We're gonna need one of those. I don't think we're gonna be able to reuse that. All the fittings are broken off.
I didn't think so.
It's really smashed, so even if we did reuse it, who knows if it'll hold air. All of our fittings are done. We need the safety valve, the pressure switch relay, we need a new leader hose. But the good news is, I don't think any of the hoses or the wiring is actually damaged. All right, now we know what Mr. Thomas needs to fix his air tank. We're gonna go home, order up on Amazon, and we'll be back over here when it's time to put it all back together. See you guys then.
And we're back.
That's right, we are back. We got all of our parts ordered and we're back over here at Mr. Thomas's house, and we're gonna make that look like that. So we got our new Air 2.5 gallon air tank rated at 200 PSI. We have our new leader hose. We have our new pressure switch relay. We have these reducers, which are for the pressure switch relay. It goes 1/4 inch down to 1/8. We have these reducers. It's go from 1/4 up to 3/8 for the leader hose. Assortment of bushings for mounting, which we probably won't use. Our safety relay valve. Our 90-degree fitting for our remote dump. We have our compression fittings. And we have some plugs and spare air lines. Now we're gonna take all those parts, put them on there, and get all that put back under the truck.
But most important, we got Phil holding this chair down.
That's right, we do. And the first step to start this job is we need to get his spare tire out of the way. All right, we have the spare tire off, and you can get access to where everything's supposed to be under here. So this is what it looks like with the spare tire out of the way. The air tank used to be mounted up here on these holes, and it looks like all the bolts are broken. And we think that's because the spare tire was actually loose and was beating it while driving. So what we have is a collection of things, because he was on the side of the road when it happened, so he just tied these up. But this is our air manifold. It's supposed to be right there. Air tank's supposed to be right here. This is our drain valve to our remote dump, which is supposed to be on the bottom of the tank. And it runs right over here to the solenoid, and it runs over there to the back corner and dumps the air. That's how you make sure you bleed the water out of your system. Plus, it's an easy way to dump the air pressure when you want to work on the system. Over here is your pressure switch relay, which, because the compressor still runs, electrically that's good, but mechanically that is not going to work again for us. So we're going to have to rewire that. And our leader hose is damaged, which is why we got a new one. All you got to do is make that one look like, oh, actually, that one's got to look like that one used to look, but it needs to look like that, brand new.
I don't guess snapping the finger's going to work, is it?
We could try it, but it probably won't work.
Well, let's give it a shot before we get our knuckles busted.
So, here's what's going on here. This is a compression fitting. This is our safety pop-off valve. This is a plug. This is our pressure relay switch, and this is our leader hose. And then on bottom down here, we had our 90-degree that goes to our remote dump. All right, Phil, you want to hear the pro tip of the day?
Lay it on me.
So, all of these fittings from Viera come with this little red stuff right here. And the instructions say you don't have to apply any kind of sealant to keep it from leaking.
Okay.
You know what I found? That is a lie.
Imagine that.
I found the hard way that if you just put all those in without chasing your threads with a tap, 100% this right here will leak. So we go the extra step. We tap all the holes and we use some liquid Teflon to make sure we don't have any air leaks, because air is really hard to stop leaking. Actually, air is a lot harder to stop leaking than, like, say, like hydraulic fluid or even water, because air will always find a way. So even though this is good intentions, unless you want to be taking it apart underneath the truck, go ahead and chase all your threads and put liquid Teflon on there and be done with it.
That would make your blood pressure go up if you didn't do that and hooked all this up and then got everything was leaking. Woo!
All right, so we have the new one looking just as good as the old one. Everything's swapped over. Now it's time to go under there and drill some new mounting holes and get this tank mounted underneath the bed of the truck. What are you doing under here?
I've been laying around.
All right, so we have the tank reinstalled, and we went ahead and reinstalled the manifold right there. And now we have to make all these broken parts hook back up to that air system. And because there's not a lot of room down here, we're gonna go ahead and do all that, and we'll come get you when it's all hooked back up and we start to test it to see if it still works.
Hey Kevin, do I need to get the duct tape out?
Maybe. Why, hello there. So we are done under here hooking everything up, but it took way longer than we expected. It's because not a lot of room to work under here, but we have everything going. So I'm gonna tell you what's going on down here. So right there, that is our air compressor, and this is our new leader hose, which comes over here and goes into our air tank right here. From our air tank, we have this line right here that loops around to our manifold. This one right here goes to the back bumper for our remote air chuck. This one right here goes to the cab of the truck for the paddle switches for the airbags. And this one right here is our supply for our train horn. And then right here on our dump valve is a air line. It's 3/8. It comes over here to this solenoid, and that is our remote dump. Now we're gonna fire the truck up and turn it on and see if everything works, and then we'll look for leaks, and then we'll test to make sure the entire air system still works and the airbags still work. All right, let's see if the air compressor comes on. All right, it's running. So we know at least the air tank runs.
I hear it.
You hear it?
I hear it.
All right, so it's running. So now we just gotta make sure it fills up. And to do that, we will check Mr. Thomas's air gauges. So he chose to have his system installed right here with the gauges and the paddle switch. So this is our airbag paddle switch. This is our system pressure, and this is our airbag pressure. So for those of you who follow along with us, ours is actually installed right there under the rear passenger seat. But Mr. Thomas didn't have the toolbox, so we didn't install it there. Instead, he wanted it right there, which is pretty convenient because he can adjust his airbag pressure while driving. I actually have to stop and open the back door and adjust it. Never had to adjust it on the fly, but I will say the convenience of it being right there is pretty awesome for Mr. Thomas. All right, the relay works, the compressor turned off. Look how happy Phil is.
That's a home run, baby.
All right, we're gonna crawl under there. Actually, we're not gonna crawl. We're gonna take our trusty wheeler and we're gonna slide under there and see if there's any leaks. All right, it appears it's not leaking anywhere. So now let's test everything. You know what that means, Phil?
Man, he's gonna have to pay top dollar for this job.
I don't think Thomas ever pays any dollars for this job, but I appreciate you letting me work on your truck and film the content. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here and we are going to verify the airbags work and also that the relay works. So we're gonna start filling the airbags with this button right here. We will increase the pressure right here in the bags. And when this gets right around 160 PSI, the compressor should kick back on. All right, compressor just kicked back on. The airbags are holding 90 PSI. We'll go ahead and bleed them down. Mr. Thomas has the 5,000 pound bags. They actually came off my truck from our first year out, and we thought we needed bigger bags, so we went to the 7500s and gave him the 5,000s. They work perfect with his camper, but they do like to have some air in them. They have the internal bounce stops in them, but we found that some air is better than no air. So we try to run about 20 PSI, which is basically almost no air in it because you need the weight of the truck to get the air out. But we try to keep it around 20 because that's the best ride. We're gonna let this thing build back up 200 PSI, and when it shuts off, we're gonna test the train horn because that's the most important part of this system. Phil, you ready for the train horn? That works like a charm.
The only one thing better if we'd been by a golf course.
All right, it looks like our work here is done. We need to clean up all this mess, get the bottom of the truck tidied back up, load all that stuff back up, and then maybe we can get out of here. All right, we're done working. We're gonna go ahead and dump all the air in his system. Number 4. You can hear it's coming out. Go ahead and turn the air compressor off so it doesn't kick on. We'll let it drain down. And we are done working on Mr. Thomas's truck. Maybe next time he won't have the problem of losing his air tank while driving down the highway.
What are we gonna do now?
I don't know, I'm sure you have it's a pretty good idea what to do now, huh?
Yeah, take it to Shreveport, run it across them roads, see if it'll stay in there or not. You know, in Texas, they bring the bull riders and put them in the back of a truck on a sawhorse and drive through Shreveport. If they can stay in the back bed, they might make it.
I've told Mr. Thomas to stay off that Interstate 20 through Shreveport. And even though this fell off in Jackson, Mississippi, he goes through Shreveport more than he cares to admit. And I'm telling you guys, when I go through Shreveport, I sometimes wonder if the fifth wheel and the trailer will still be there when I get done going through it, because Shreveport's intense. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to link all the parts we used to repair this system, as well as the original installation video if you're interested in installing your onboard air system and train horn on your own truck. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We love you, and we'll see you in the next one.